This episode is brought to you by the fabulous members of the You Run Podcast Network, all available at yourunpodcast.com.
You want to die tonight?
The dad jokes you tell sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. Your passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Mark's overblown roundups. You run podcasts or a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled. But go! To one podcast! What's up?
What's up?
Hello and welcome to the You Run Podcast Not So Much Horror Movie Review. My name is Scott.
My name is Pissed Off Mark.
And we are your host each Monday as we take you through a brand new episode chosen by you on our Instagram stories. It is a new theme this month and it is horror adjacent month. And this month has not landed well with my co-host, to the point that he actually DM'd me privately, not in the group chat, and went, mate, I'm about to walk from the show. He was genuinely annoyed at some of the movies this month. I'm going to let Mark just share his frustration. We'll get them out of the way now, and then we can just roll into this month peacefully and at ease.
My problem isn't the horror adjacent month. I'm happy to do a horror adjacent month. I'm pissed off with the movies that are in horror adjacent month because none of them are even horror. There's such classics like, I don't know, what would you even consider? Beetlejuice is horror adjacent. Jurassic Park is what I would consider horror adjacent. The movies we have got coming up have just royally pissed me off. I have no enthusiasm to watch any of them and then come in here and talk about it. We're a horror movie podcast to talk about horror movies. And you fucked us. You fucked us royally by putting these stupid movies in the polls.
In my defense, when I put them in, at no point did I think half of these movies would win. And when they won, even I went, oh, that's not going to go down well. That's not going to go down well.
I just can't believe people have voted for them. That's what's annoyed me the most. He's like, I don't know. I like coming in here. I like talking about horror movies. This is my Friday night. This is my escape from my normal life and my family. And I get to chill out one day a week, dive into some really gnarly horror shit, and then come in here and talk about it. And now I have to spend the next month watching bullshit movies. And yeah, I'm annoyed by it. So cheers, guys. In fact, no, cheers, Scott, because you put the movies in the poll in the first place. I don't even know why I'm thanking anybody else.
Well, at the end of the day, it is the You Run podcast. So to put it mildly,
Who the hell do you think you are?
telling them that they can't pick the movies they want. Anyway, as always, we're going to kick off with a brief synopsis before taking a deeper look at what we liked and what we didn't like. This episode is spoiler heavy, so if you haven't seen the movie, maybe go and watch it first and come back. Later in the show, we're doing a new feature called What Are They Screaming At?, where listeners get to join the show. We're going to be dropping some incredible movie facts and playing a game that's called That's Not Funny, which I think is appropriate for this month because it's just something else that's going to wind Mark up and make him say, that's not funny. Get comfortable, turn off to the world, and let's get into this week's episode. This week, we look at the cinematic equivalent of a kick to the balls. It is your favorite 90s horror tropes, and someone slipped in some very questionable ingredients. We kick off with a group of totally deep thinkers who accidentally run off with some dude. Naturally, their brilliant plan involves dumping the body and then acting like nothing happened. But there's a Ghostface wannabe who wants to ruin it. It's less who done it than more who splatted next. And I'll be honest, these kids in this movie have zero survival skills whatsoever. They stumble, they trip, they fall their way through. This is the most glorious, messy, and ridiculous ride that proves sometimes something scarier than a scary movie is just a really shit gag. This has taken so long to get on the show. I wanted to do this in the very, very first season. We are looking at Scary Movie from the year 2000.
But wait! There's more.
And I completely fucked up my intro. I'm sorry. Like I'm as enthusiastic for Scary Movie as Mark is for this month. I'm really sorry.
See, surprisingly enough, this is the one movie that I feel belongs in this month. So, like, this is probably the best it's going to get for the next 4 weeks, in my opinion. I'm happy that this is selected.
And I'm not. I'm sat on the other, even though this was my pick, I picked this and I was like, yeah, it'd be good to talk about it on this rewatch. There are parts of this that 14-year-old Scott, deep down in his belly, chuckles and rolls and cries with laughter. 40-something-year-old Scott looks at it and goes,
nah, it still rocked for me, man. It was still great. I don't know. For me, like, it came out in that 2000s year where, like, I was just discovering horror, especially on the level of where, like, I was actively seeking them out, not just casually watching, like, a friend's dad's DVDs or videotapes, what you shouldn't be watching during the day with the curtains pulled. So for me, like, I was actively investigating a lot of these franchises. Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, things like that. So to see them mocked so heavily was a very relevant process for me. You know, they were very of the times when I watched this movie when it first came out. And I think it still holds up very, very well. I think 1 and 2 are peak, and I think they both still stand the test of time, in my opinion. Anything after those two are just diabolical, and they are very childish toilet humor level stuff. And there's a lot of that in here as well. I'm not going to say that this movie is pitch perfect from start to finish, because it's certainly not. There's a lot of stuff in here that I was like, okay, that's not great these days, but I still found the vast majority of it was okay. And I think the level of intelligence that comes with the generalized spoofing of horror as a whole is very well executed and very well put together. It's not just your gag a minute kind of stuff, even though it is gag a minute kind of stuff. There's still through lines. There's still a story that's being told within this comedic piss take of horror as a whole, I think. And I think for me, that's why it still holds up.
Yeah, well, one thing I need to commend is the level of detail and the level of effort that goes into every single scene they parody. When this episode comes out, I'm going to release a side-by-side Scream 1996, Scary Movie 2000 opening next to each other. It is so accurate, even down to the point where Drew Barrymore gets the knife as she's talking to Ghostface and she lifts it up and she has a sort of, oh yeah, I like this Scary Movie. Like Carmen Electra does exactly the same, and it's the same. It's literally identical.
Yeah, and a lot of effort went into doing this.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of effort that went in, and I can see that the Wayans brothers are genuinely horror fans, and that gets me more of a buy-in than you would if you just done a spoof movie where you just blatantly taking the piss.
There's another one that came out in the exact same year, and I'm a big fan of it. Where is it? Just keep talking. Let me find it, because it's important that I showcase it.
Okay, so Mark has ventured off into his man cave of 80s nostalgia VHS room that will give you absolute goosebumps. Also, just so you all know, next week Mark is going to be the most miserable prick on the face of the planet, and I'm going to do nothing but try to antagonize him. So if you like episodes when we argue, next week's episode is going to be the absolute best episode ever for you. Mark should be back any minute. However, he may have actually left the show because he doesn't want to do
I'm
this.
coming back. I'm just stalling because I can't find it, and it's important that I do. There's a lot of tapes here to go through.
What film is it you're looking for?
Let it go because I can't find it.
It'll
catch the corner of my eye at some point throughout the episode, and I'll be like, "Oh, there it is." But there's a film called Shriek. I Know What You Did Last Friday, the 13th, and it came out. I think it came out either the same year or the year after or the year before, but they were both made in succession at the same time, and they both parody exactly the same thing. I think in the Shriek movie, it starts out with a hockey mask, and then he walks into like this fly swatter electrocutor thing, and his mask melts into a ghost face mask. It's funny. It's really, really good. They do the similar opening to Scream, except this time he jumps out of a giant birthday cake, like from Under Siege, where the president, happy birthday, Mr. President. But it turns out it's a killer, and he jumps out the cake, and they're just running in circles for about 5 minutes around this kitchen. Brilliantly, like, childish humor stuff, and they both came out around the same time. And that movie just doesn't get anywhere near the same sort of recognition as Scary Movie does, but they're both equally just as juvenile. And I don't know, I think there's a lot of stuff that works in the Shriek, I Know What You Did Last Friday the 13th movie that doesn't work as well in this movie, and vice versa. So if you're a fan of Scary Movie, I would recommend you go and check that one out. There's a lot of famous American people in that film as well, and quite a lot of actual horror alumni cameos throughout, which was why I was real surprised to find that Scary Movie then went on to be the more successful of the two. Because it seems to me like when you watch Shriek, I Know What You Did Last Friday the 13th, that movie certainly seems to have more of a financial backing behind it in terms of the cameos that appear and the stuff that happens throughout that film. I think Tom Arnold plays the Doofy character throughout.
Yeah, part of what I think made Scary Movie so successful is the opening scene that they released in trailers. Carmen Electra at the time was the sexiest woman on the planet, and it wasn't even vaguely a debate. Like, Carmen Electra was the sexiest a woman could be. And the trailer for this, or the TV spot trailer for this, was that moment when Carmen Electra's running away from Ghostface. He reaches for her top, tears it off, reaches for her dress, tears it off. Then she stops and does the whole rub her boobs in the sprinklers. Like, that was the marketing for this. And they were marketing at young men. Like, that was their target audience. It was adolescent boys who went, oh, boobies. And I hate to say it, like, it works. Like, that sort of marketing for this sort of movie works perfectly. And I did piss myself laughing when Ghostface stabs her in the chest. And he pulls out a silicone implant, and then he tries taking it off his knife. He's like,
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a very, very cool opening. I mean, I've mentioned on this show many times, especially more recently than not, of how the opening scream kill of Drew Barrymore is, to me, go check out our Patreon episode. I go into great lengths of it, as it was one of the picks from one of our Patreons to discuss on our first episode. But for me, like, that opening scene in the original Scream movie is probably one of the most terrifying things I think there is in horror as a whole scope, really. I think it's a really, really terrifying opening sequence. And I think this does a great job of mimicking it so well and so respectfully, to the point that it's throwing in all these curveballs and all these jokes. But you can see, as you've already mentioned, you're going to make a reel about it, these scene for scenes play, where they've studied it and they've watched it and they've like, right, we're not just going to make a 1 minute joke. We're actually going to do this properly, and we're going to mimic it, but we're going to take it seriously to the point where everything's the same, barring a few little bits of humor sprinkled in between. I mean, for me, the best bit of that whole thing is when she gets run over by her dad in the car.
He's getting a blowjob off his mum.
Yeah. It's funny, man. I like it.
It is funny and it's childish, and I love the fact that they seamlessly tied franchises together, which is really hard to do. So the plot of Scary Movie, the plot of Scream and the plot of I Know What You Did Last Summer are very different, but they managed to tie those together in a way that it's Ghostface who is basically the fisherman, and I really like that, and I really like the dropping the notes, and I love the fact that they show how Ghostface hides. So, like, she looks out the school window and he's there, and then she looks back at the teacher all startled, and then when just before she looks back, you see him sort of go, oh shit, and like scuttle behind the tree and hide. Like, it's really childish, but it's fucking funny. And the fact he leaves a note that's like, I know what you did last Halloween, and she goes into this dream sequence where she's there being fed like hot dogs by her boyfriend. He's trying to force him down and then like she comes out of her dream sequence and there's another note going, no, not that Halloween, you silly bitch, the Halloween where you killed that guy.
Yeah, man. But the thing is, it plays so well on like moments in horror that you're like, well, how did he get from there to there? And like you say, and he just sneaks off behind the tree. And there's scenes like that where, like, in some of the fight sequences and stuff, and he's like hid behind the sofa and he's giggling on the phone, like, "You'll never find me," and his feet are just tickling out from behind the chair. And it's just silly. It's just daft and it's stupid. But it's things like that as a horror fan when I'm watching movies. I'm like, how did you get from there? And they play up on situations like that so well that as horror fans, we all sit there and watch it. And we relate to it and we laugh because it's intelligently written, in my opinion. I mean, as far as spoof movies go, I'm not personally a big fan of spoof movies. I don't get the whole Aeroplane series. I don't get the Hot Shots Part Deuce thing. I think the only real spoof movie other than Scary Movie that I've actually really, really enjoyed is Dracula Dead and Loving It with Leslie Nielsen. I think that's a fucking absolute classic of a movie. And Spaceballs, let's not forget Spaceballs, because that's genius as well. And I think this is about on the same sort of level as Spaceballs, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, I agree. And also we're getting a Spaceballs too, but we'll save that. We'll talk about that on Patreon, the fact that they're announced it with the original cast.
Yes.
The thing I think they've done really well here is all of the individual scenes they've picked from all of these various different horror movies. They've taken literally shot for shot scenes. Like the one that really stands out to me as fucking hilarious is where Buffy is like in the pageant, like in I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah.
And she's going, I'm going to do a dramatic reading. And then on the balcony, her boyfriend's getting murdered. She's going, no, you motherfuckers. Why is no one helping? And then she's completely broken. She goes backstage. Someone's like, Buffy, you won. And my friend's like, what about your boyfriend? She's like, fuck my boyfriend. Did you not just hear I won? And then she goes out and like doesn't celebrate and waves. Like that sort of stuff.
But even so in that scene itself, like the subtlety of the guy who does the song, the other singing, and he's like, you are the winner, you stupid tart. You suck so much dick. But it's very subtle to the point where unless you're really paying attention to what he's saying, because it's mumbled by the cheers of the crowds and stuff like that. But it's just, again, just that really undertone level of humor that's there if you're paying attention to it, that you're so fixated on everything else that's going around, you're not really listening to the mumbled noise of the commentator in the background. But all he's doing is just talking about how much of a slapper Buffy is the whole time. And then speaking of, my favorite scene in that moment is when her boyfriend what's he called in this? Is it Brody? Oh, not Ray. Ray's one of the Wayans brothers. Is it Brody? I don't know.
Yeah,
he's got like a proper stereotypical jock name anyway. But he's up on the balcony clapping. He's like, yeah, that's my girlfriend. He's like, yeah, that's my girlfriend too. Best pussy I ever had. And there's like 6 or 7 guys all in the crowd just like talking shit about her.
And he's on the balcony going, what, you want to fight me? No, that's my girlfriend. I'll come down there. My favourite character in this, hands down, the entire franchise, not just this movie, is Brenda.
Brenda, you're a big fan of Brenda. I've known this about you for a while, and I can't understand why. She irritates me.
She's so funny, and so like everything she does, I sort of go, that's going to annoy people. Maybe that's what it is. Me and Brenda have some sort of affinity that we do things, and we go, this is going to piss so many people off. I'm going to do it anyway.
I think that must be what it is. You are both very annoying people.
I think one of her crowning moment for me is not the theatre scene. We'll talk about that in a minute, but the bit where she stood there with Cindy and she's going, yeah, that Buffy, like she was at a pool party at Diddy's and like things started getting, she was there with a backup dancer. Like he can't even get you backstage. Like she's nasty. Like, she's as fake as press on nails. And then as Buffy walks over, she's like, hey girlfriend, how you been?
Yeah, you see, I appreciate your love for Brenda, but it's got to be rare for me. Not Marlon, Sean Wayans, is it? Is it Sean?
Does this top make me look gay? How about now?
The closeted gay stuff that he does in this movie is just incredible, man. And it is so fucking funny throughout. Like everything he does, like even just the first thing is like, does this top make me look gay? But then when they kill the fisherman, and they're talking about going to prison and how they turn men inside out, and he's like, yeah, actually, maybe we should call the police. And it's just stuff like that all the way through. And again, it's probably because he's paired by Brenda. and she's looking at him so confused, like, what the fuck are you talking about? And that scene where he's getting her to put on the football gear, and he's like, yeah, put the shoulder pads on. Yeah, put the helmet on. And then he just bends her over the bed. You know, man.
It's the fact at first she's just in the jersey. She's like, yeah, you like this? Like, yeah, put the shoulder pads on. She's like, okay. And she goes with it. She's like, yeah. And you can see she's getting more and more uncomfortable. She's like, yeah, put the helmet on. Put the helmet on. He's like, yeah, that's it. Grunt at me. Run at me. Like, all that stuff is really funny. But the big payoff for that gag is right at the end where Bobby.
Yes, like, I was going to say.
Yeah, me and Ray, we're gay. Like, we're going to go start a life. And Ray's like, what?
I'm not gay.
What are you on about? Like,
it's so good, man.
And he's like, you took me to a gay club. He's like, I like the music. He's like, we made love. He's like, no, you gave me a blowjob because you were drunk and I took that, okay? But that doesn't make me gay. Like, all of that stuff.
Even to the point where they both die in that scene and then he just falls bent over. It's just like, come on, man.
Honestly, it's really, really good. The scene in the cinema is good as well with Brenda.
I thought that, for some reason, I thought that was in the second movie, and I don't know why. I mean, obviously, I know it's the opening to Scream 2, but for the life of me, I haven't watched this film in years. I was like, oh, that's such a cool scene where he gets his dick through the ear. And I'm like, but I'm sure that's in the opening to Scary Movie 2, but obviously it's not. It's the opening to Scream 2 that they're taking a piss off, but it's in the original Scary Movie.
Yeah, and I like it because I've been to the cinema. I go to the cinema a reasonable amount. You do as well. And every cinema I've ever been in, when it's fairly busy, there is a Brenda. There is a.
I've never experienced a Brenda.
Yeah, but you live in the Shire, so like none of the people around you even come above the back of the seat. Like, your cinemas look empty, but we get it. We get it.
To be fair, every time I'm going to the cinema tomorrow. Actually, I'm taking my daughter to watch Lilo and Stitch.
Oh man.
Yeah, we're having a daddy-daughter day. I'm hoping it's quiet,
so
to be honest with you.
So I think it will be now. It's been out a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah. It's been out weeks now, hasn't
it? But yeah, last time I went to the cinema, there was like a group of teenagers, I don't know, about 14, 15, like laughing and poking each other and like throwing popcorn. I'm sat there going, oh, do I say something? Am I that guy? Am I that guy?
I would be that guy. If I'm paying 20 quid for a ticket, I would seriously be that guy and be like, I will beat the living shit out of you little shits if you do not stop. Like, did you see all that Minecraft stuff that was going on?
Chicken jockey. Yeah.
What the fuck was that, man? Like, if I'd paid and taken my children to go and watch that movie, and there was a group of like 13, 14, some of them were like 16, 17-year-old boys. Just like when that scene came on, like throwing popcorn, throwing the drinks and stuff, like, I would have beat the shit, man. I would have been looking at being arrested after that film would have come out, because the stuff I saw on social media, I would not be able to sit there in my chair knowing I'd paid price of admission, plus the bank loan I would have had to get to buy popcorn and a drink. I'd have been like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah, and I agree. And not only that, how can young kids afford fucking £9 popcorn? Like, it's so dear
to
now.
Throw it on the floor like that. Like, if I have leftover popcorn from the cinema, you bet your ass I'm taking that shit home.
Yeah, 100%. I normally have it sat next to me in the front seat, and I sit and eat it on the way home. But that scene where all of the patrons of the cinema, all like Ghostface is sat next to her, and he pulls his knife out, and he's like debating whether or not he'll get away with it, and the little old lady reaches over, takes it, and like stabs her in the neck, and then the old man's like, give that to me, and like stabs her, and they all take turns, and then they just sit there like relaxed, and Ghostface takes the popcorn and starts it. It's so good, so good.
Brilliant.
Where this film loses it a bit for me is there's a middle section where it goes a little bit beyond like reality. This film's not grounded in reality in any way, but it takes that one step too far, and there's two kills it does it with in particular. One is the death of Buffy, where Ghostface stabs her. She does the, oh no, Mr. Ghostface, are you going to stab me?
I think it's brilliant, man. And she breaks a leg. It's like, oh no, now I can't walk. What am I going to do? And he cuts her head off. I think it's great, and I think the thing is as well, like it is so. I know what you're saying is because this movie does such a good job of being, like I said in the opening, I think it does a great job of having a through narrative instead of just being a gag by the minute kind of movie. That when it does get to particular scenes like this, it does kind of it takes you out of it, which is a weird thing to say in a spoof movie because you're always being taken out of it in most of the spoof movies I've seen anyway. Like Hot Shots, for example, is literally this Buffy scene throughout. You know, but I think everything around this movie up until this point is very grounded in a way that it makes it believable. And then, yeah, of course, you get this scene which just is not. And you're kind of like, And I think there's two for me. I'll let you do your second one, and I think we're probably going to be on the same page actually as to what our second one is.
See, the second one that really takes me out is the girl in the garage who goes to get the beer, and she tries.
I like that one.
She tries to like she's a larger lady. Like the cat, it's not a dog flap. She tries to go out of in that shutter door. It's a cat flap. Like I wouldn't get my leg through there, and she tries to squeeze through it. And Ghostface tries to lift it, and then the motor like gives up and it drops and kills. Like I'm not a slim guy. I'm not adverse to a fat joke here and there, but I was like, that's kind of a bit much. And like when you cast that actress,
but the whole point of the joke though is that in the original Scream movie, when they do that, every single person who watched that Scream movie sat there and went, that garage door would not be able to lift a human being. It would not open. You can literally hold a garage door and it would stop. And that's the point of the joke, which is why I appreciate it. The one that really lost me is it kind of all folds into the same sort of thing towards the end. And it's the sex scene between Cindy and Bobby, where he ejaculates her on the ceiling. As funny as it is, it's just that level of Buffy kill that's kind of, it's just stupid. And I think the first time I watched it as a teenager, I probably rolled on the floor laughing with hysterics, probably not even knowing what had even happened because I was so young when I watched this film.
What I find funny about that is not the ejaculation bit, it's the bit where he takes her underwear off and the big bush jumps up and he's like, oh, I love the 70s vibe. And then the hedge trimmer, like that made me laugh because you and me, we have a history. We have a slutty past where we've had these one night stands, and there has been an occurrence where you've gone, oh Jesus, don't know how to work with that, but I'll make it work. And like that, I found genuinely funny. But yeah, the ejaculation sticking to the ceiling, I'm like, yeah, it's there.
Yeah. It was that, and it was the Matrix fight scene, which I think, again, the 2000s was very relevant. But that is one scene that very much dates this movie in terms of its relevance, really, because everybody was mimicking the Matrix. It was what happened in the 2000s, the bullet time thing, the whole. And I think that one particular fight scene in that movie really makes you take a step back and be like, fuck, man, this is 25 years old. Because they're showcasing Matrix jokes here, and I get it, and I feel old now.
Yeah, and it does. And the one thing I'd say is that I've seen some of the behind-the-scenes stuff for this because I'm prepping for release of the episode. They put as much work and effort into creating bullet time for Scary Movie as they did for The Matrix. Like it is the proper setup with all the cameras all mounted at different heights, and it's the proper like moving camera that goes with it, and then the 17 hours worth of editing that goes with it just to get that one shot. Like it's dated, but I appreciate the effort that they went to.
Yeah.
Like, The Matrix is really big. How did they do bullet time? They done it like this. It's really expensive and it takes a long time. Yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to like this production is effectively a group of comedians, and they've gone, let's do one of what at the time was one of the hardest camera tricks in cinematic history. We're going to do that in our shitty little spoof movie. There must have been a moment where a producer went, that's a lot of money. And they all went, we're going to do it anyway.
And I think it works, man. Like I said, I know I'm bitching about it now, but by the time when this movie came out, like I was applauding it and I thought it was fucking brilliant. You know, I was like, blown away by it on the same level that I was on The Matrix, because it is that good. I mean, if you watch The Matrix now and you watch this movie side by side, they're pretty equal in terms of their CGI quality in making these kind of stunts happen. So I have to applaud it. And I mean, I will always applaud the Wayans brothers for what they did with these first two movies anyway. I think they're very, very talented men. And I think they've had a really bad rap due to the Weinstein's interference. And it kind of ruined their careers after this first two films. And I think they tried to replicate it with other spoof movies. They did like the Haunted House one, didn't they? After this, trying to regain that sort of that title card. But by that point, by the time that this had already been taken off them, which is what happened, they got this one made, they made the second one, they went to make the third one, they wouldn't give them the same money that they'd made for the first two, they offered them less, so they took their script. So the script for the third one is actually the Wayans brothers script, barring a few variations. It's not going to be exactly the same because they weren't involved in it, they just took their prototype script and went away with it and made it. But the Weinstein brothers basically had rights to the title, and they took it off them and said, right, well, fine, we'll make it without you. And then the scary movie franchise went on afterwards without them and made like 12 other movies, all of them massively declining in quality. Had they stayed on, I think we would probably still be getting scary movies today. Maybe not as consistently as they were when they first came out every year. I know we're getting a new one.
Yeah,
we'll get to that later.
Yeah,
I know we are getting a new one, and they have the rights back to it, and we are getting a new one by the Wayans brothers. And I think everybody who listens to this podcast should definitely go out and support that film, because these guys do deserve it, and they do deserve mass appreciation. They deserve mass revenue for the fuck up that has been caused to their career from the fucking downfall of these movies. But I think had they stayed on board and they'd got the respect that they deserved, I think they would have still been relevant now. And I think because they're so talented as writers and comedians, they could have brought one of these out every 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Based on how the genre had adapted and moved on. Yeah. And I think they would have stayed relevant, man. And I think we would have been looking at a Scary Movie 10, 12, 13, still getting cinematic releases and still being appreciated by audiences. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case.
And I agree. And I'm excited to see what they do next, because you're going to have the likes of Hereditary, Midsommar. Like, this is going to be such a dig at A24. They're obviously going to take a swipe at Scream and the Weinstein issues and the Weinsteins. Like, they're going to I saw an interview. I don't know which one it was. I saw an interview with one of them the other day.
It was Marlon, I think.
Yeah, and he turned around and said, for the first time ever, so when we made the first one, he said gloves were very much on. He said we kind of kept the gloves on to an extent all the way through our involvement. He said we're at a point now, he said, where I'm at an age, the gloves are off. He said, and I don't care who in Hollywood I upset. I don't care what production studio gets the hump. I'm just going to let everyone have it. And I'm going to sit in the cinema and I'm going to laugh with everybody else at the ridiculousness that is the tropes within horror. He said, because that's all I'm digging at is the tropes. And I'm all in for that. One thing I'd say is Scary Movie done a scene for me better than the actual movie. And I think the actress delivers it better. And the premise of it is ridiculous, but the actress delivers the lines and delivers the moves better than the original movie. And that is the "What are you waiting for" moment with Anna Faris going, "What are you waiting for?" And the teacher on the roof going, "I can't stand these kids anymore. I'm going to jump. I'm going to jump." And she comes out the door going, "What are you waiting for?" And he's like, "Fuck you," and just jumps off. Like, brilliant.
Yeah. Where do you stand on Anna Faris? Because I'm not a fan, man.
I like her. I think she's very, very funny. Very, very talented. She's actually a very talented actress. And I think she's been typecast into this type of world. But I think you could drop her in a serious role and I think she could deliver.
I've seen her in a few serious roles and she does deliver, but I'm just not a fan of her as an actress, I don't think. I think she's better in Scary Movie 2 than she is in the first one. But I found her quite irritating in this on a rewatch.
Yeah, and I think she's kind of meant to be. But yeah, I quite like her. One person we've avoided, and I'm sure all the listeners are going, when are they going to talk about that character? When are they going to talk about that character? And it's two characters, and it's Doofy and Gale.
Oh, I thought you were going the Shorty route. We haven't touched on Shorty yet, but come on.
Doofy is the funniest character in this for me by a country mile. The bit where like he's in the police station and like Buffy's come to pick up Sydney and she's like, oh yeah, come on, we need to go. It's like, when I'm in this uniform, you'll respect this badge. You'll do as you're told. She's like,
dress me the man of the law.
Yeah, and she's like, Mum keeps telling you to keep your dick out of the vacuum. And he's like, oh. And then you get the scene where Ghostface calls and they bang on his door to get him,
mate.
Dragging the Hoover.
Dragging the Henry Hoover across the hallways. I told you not to bother me when I'm cleaning my room. The best one for me for Dewey is where those two officers call him over and they're talking about banging those chicks. And he's like, hey, Dewey, do you want to see what a real man smells like? And he gives his finger on his nose. And Dewey goes, hey, smell my finger. He's like, oh my God, Dewey, what's that? He's like, that's my ass. He's just so childish, man, but it's fucking funny.
It is really funny. And that character coupled with Gale is hilarious, where she's like, do you want to get in the van with me, and sucks his finger? And then at the press conference, they're talking about a leak in the police station. Dewey leans over and he's like, hi, Gale. Gale swallows.
It's Gale, the cameraman, for me. That's fucking hilarious. The Jamaican cameraman who keeps like standing on her foot and shit like that. He's brilliant. It's a scene where she gets punched out by Sydney and he goes to grab her and he picks her up and he grabs her boob. He's like, oh, I only touched it a bit at the top, but it's so subtle, Gale.
It's so soft and supple. I want to touch it again.
Man, and the thing is, like, we could do this for 4 or 5 hours, and I think we wouldn't even touch on 60% of the jokes that are in this movie.
No.
It's one of those where even now on a rewatch, there's things that I picked up on that I didn't get the last time I watched it, or jokes that I missed the time before that, or the time before that, you know? And I think that for me is why this movie stands the test of time, is because there is so much depth to it and so much creativity and investment from the Wayans brothers when they were making it, that it's a serious passion project. It's not just your standardized thing. They've really taken their time. They've really put a lot of love and effort into it. And I think that's why it is still talked about today. 25 years later, we're still discussing it on a podcast. I'd love to do part 2 because there is some seriously fucking brilliant stuff in part 2 that I think, and it's got Tim Curry in, man. Tim Curry is in part 2, and I think it's worth talking about. So people, you've pissed me off royally this month, but if you want to save yourselves, pick Scary Movie 2 in a poll next time it's available.
Yeah, do that. We need to talk about Shorty. Whassup!
Yes. Oh, man. Right, so
people of a certain age do not know that reference, and I know this because I watched it with my 2 eldest sons, and everyone's going "Whassup," and I looked at Lisa, went "Whassup," and Lisa went "Whassup," and the 2 boys
imagine
like,
that.
What are you on about? I was like, it's the Budweiser advert, and they're like, what? I was like, Budweiser.
So, imagine being alive in a time where you were not relevant to Budweiser adverts. The fucking shit they used to come out with was insane. The chameleon one was one of my favorites.
Yeah,
Budweiser. That was my, as much as I like the Whassup one, I think it was the chameleon one for me. That was always my favorite growing up.
Yeah, and my 2 boys are both 18, just like tumbleweeds, like had no clue what was going on. Didn't get the joke, didn't find it funny, and I'm like, oh, you 2 need to like go and watch some like old ads. Like go see Video Tasties, go and watch some old adverts that he's playing on his channel. Like, what are you doing? But
what a time to be alive it was, man.
Yeah, I love Shorty. I think he's written as a really stupid character, but he's really not. Like, he's the most intelligent all the way through, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, he's the
Randy.
Oh shit! He's a Randy character, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think the thing is, like, I watched. I completely fucking forgot about this. So growing up, like, I went through that phase, which most teenage boys do, where you watch like gangster films, you watch like Juiced and
Yeah.
Don't Be a Menace to Society and
Yeah.
all the rest of them, you know, and listen to Dr. Dre wholeheartedly. But then I found a film called Don't Be a Menace to South Central While You're Drinking Your Juice in the Hood. And it's one of the first movies the Wayne brothers did that was very much on this tone, but it was based around sort of like hip hop and gangster movies. And Marlon Wayans, who plays Shorty in this movie, he was like one of the main characters in that brother with Ray, who is I think he's Sean. Is he Sean Wayans?
Yeah, I think so.
It's those two again, basically, and it is one of the funniest films. I think I don't know how well that would hold up in comparison to Scary Movie, because that again is something I haven't watched since my teenage years. But that was when I first discovered the talent of these two people and what they could do, because they spoofed an entire generation of hip hop movies and gangster sort of level stuff. Stuff that I was very much in the time of when I discovered it. And then again, many years later, they came out with Scary Movie. I was like, oh, I know these guys. I know what they're capable of doing, because Don't Be a Menace to South Central is literally funny as fuck. And in that, I think they mainly focus on like Stand By Me and what's Boys in the Hood, Don't Be a Menace to Society and stuff like that. And that again is a fantastic movie. If you guys haven't seen that and you like Scary Movie, definitely go check out Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood. Very long title, but I'm sure if you search it, you'll find it.
Yeah, and I think Shorty's the funniest when he's just being stupid, like stupid to another level. I love the bit where he pulls up in the car from Predator 2. The car with all the smoke. Yeah, the gangsters with the
I thought you meant the car itself. You mean just a fogged out Cadillac as they pulled up.
And they're like, Shorty, you need to go home. He's like, yeah, you need a jump? She's like, no, we're good. He's like, good, because I lost my roach clip, and he's got like the jumper
cables.
Yeah. Like,
when they start turning that fish tank into a bong because he can't find no Rizzler papers, and then Ghostface comes in and does that rap, man. That whole scene is fucking perfect. One thing we haven't talked about is the changing of Ghostface's mask throughout this film. I had, growing up, like, it was Halloween. Every Halloween, you got like a new Halloween costume. You always got a Ghostface mask at Halloween. I think I had every different variation of mask from Scary Movie growing up, you know, with the tongue out and the stoned version of it. And man, I wish I'd kept all that shit, because it would be fucking worth a fortune now.
Yeah, and like I like the fact that they don't just keep it a standardized Ghostface, that they do twist it and make it something different. Like it makes it more entertaining, and it separates it from just being a copy to making that an actual character. It's not a mask anymore. That's his face.
Yeah, the emotions change with his mask as he's going through the film, you know, and it's cool. Like, Stone Ghostface mask is one of the best things ever.
Yeah. I think we're kind of there. Like, is there anything else you want to touch on before we go into recommend?
I mean, we haven't got to your roundup yet, but I'm just like blown away by how this has progressed from where we started at the beginning of the episode and how downtrodden you were by this movie, and then all of a sudden you've done nothing but glorify it the whole way through.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to know where you go next.
I'll be honest, I'm rewriting my roundup in my head, because talking it through with someone, it's a different. I'm getting a different vibe from it now than when I watched it.
Okay.
And that might be part of the fact that I watched it with two teenagers who had no idea what any of the references were, and just meh. Like,
I can imagine.
Meh at it, because they didn't get it. But would you like a soundbite into your recommended account?
No, I already did my stall when I was bitching on you. But yeah, give me a soundbite anyway.
Okay.
Who the hell do you think you are?
So this week's recommended account is on Instagram as always, and this is Boom Mic Madness. Sloppy mic action encountered on VHS. This is an account that I stumbled upon probably a week or two ago. And it's basically just clips of popular movies probably that most of us all seen, and it's just boom mic cock-ups, you know, like scenes that we've all seen and watched and probably never paid much attention to, but then you'll just randomly see a boom mic coming out the corner of the screen. And
That's cool.
For me, it's just really funny, and it's more than you would realize of movies that actually make this mistake. There's some of them that I've seen and caught out on my own sort of journey through cinema as I've gone along. None that I can think of off the top of my head, but this is an account that actually tracks them down and turns them into reels and showcases it.
That's
Very
cool.
funny stuff. There's not really an awful lot I can say about this account other than that's kind of what it does. It just shows popular movies that has boom mic fuck ups. Very entertaining. Go check them out on Instagram. Boom Mic Madness. Let them know the Urine Podcast sent you there.
Do that. Hi guys, new look, new format adverts moving forward, and this is the first one of those. I want to talk to you about two shows in the You Run Podcast Network. First of all, I want to talk about Podcast in the Woods. This is a horror movie review show hosted by Gabby and Boomer, who are a married couple. This gives a whole new dynamic to how movies are reviewed, because it's not two people who podcast together. This is a family. So you know when they disagree on a movie, that shit carries out into the world afterwards. They are highly entertaining, very, very funny, and both have very cool, very deep cut takes on some of the best horror movies around. So they are one that I want you to go and check out at yourunpodcast.com. Also, I want you to check out the Dewey Pod Monster podcast. This is a podcast all about consumption. It's hosted by John and Sean, and they cover everything from movies to TV series to pretty much anything that pops in their head. And this show is very entertaining because they also dive into a lot of movies that you may not get on other shows. A lot of the B-movie stuff that just doesn't get showcased. So go and check out Dewey Pod Monster as well. Both of those shows are at yourunpodcast.com and available on all podcast platforms everywhere. Anyway, back to the show. Thanks, Scott. I wanted to do that so long. Make sure you check out Mark's recommended account of the week. It means a lot to them and to us that you do go and follow them and support them, because they get something, we get something. Kind of everyone wins, and you get something because you get a cool account to go and follow as well. Also, head over to yourunpodcast.com where you can find the Dewey Pod Monster and Podcast in the Woods and all of the other shows of the You Run Podcast Network. Also, there you'll find links to all of our social media. You'll also find links to our merch shop where you can buy wonderful t-shirts, but I'm skimming over that because no one ever does. While you are on social media, and you're on Instagram in particular, go and follow Mark's pages. Reviews from the Crypt, where he drops reviews of actual horror movies, and VHS from the Crypt. Eventually, one day he will drop a new one.
It's worth the wait, trust me.
And VHS from the Crypt, where he will showcase you a room that will honestly make you crave late return fees and rewind fees. It's so blockbuster-esque now. It's gone from being a little collection to now it's like someone's taken a photograph in Blockbuster.
I found this today in a charity shop, which I think you'll appreciate. Check that out.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's a novelization of Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 and Part 5. With horror novelizations, they came out mainly tie-ins to the film, but for some reason the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise didn't. So like the first 3 movies came out in one book, and then 4 and 5 came out as it's only a thin book. Like there must be like 20 pages per movie at least. Yeah. But yeah, I picked this up for 50p today, and I couldn't believe my luck. I was blown away. But that's the kind of shit I do. I pick up really weird, random shit that nobody else has.
Yeah, and honestly, it's awesome. If you haven't got Instagram, you can still follow us everywhere else. We're at You Run Podcast, and that includes YouTube, where we're now dropping 3 videos per week, plus an episode of this show. So you've got 4 days a week you can get content from the You Run Podcast. If you like exclusive content and you want to get rewarded For liking exclusive content, go to patreon.com/YouRunPodcast, where there's a selection of tiers. You can get everything from ad-free episodes. So yes, you don't need to hear me say this every week. You can get a whole nother horror podcast. You can get another true crime stuff. You can get loads of other benefits, merchandise, fucking with polls, making decisions, like ruining people's lives. And that happened on this week. And I want to bring it up now. But before I do, we're actually going to dive into a voicemail quickly first, and then we're going to bring it up on the back of that voicemail. So here's the voicemail we got when I can find it. It is there. Are you ready?
Yep.
Wow. So I've just listened to the Poltergeist episode. First of all, Poltergeist was a surprising film, which I really enjoyed. So yeah, it was great. But this episode is possibly one of the funniest things I've listened to in a long, long time. And I can't wait to hear about what happened to the Shark movie. Please tell us more.
Fuck you, Dad.
So what happened is when you subscribe to a certain tier on Patreon, you get the option to remove a movie from our polls and replace it with one of your own. Dave done this to Mark when Mark was pretty much on for a guaranteed win this week. He put Deep Blue Sea in, and I'll be honest, like that was a shoo-in with the other movies,
Yeah.
Scary Movie included. Like that was winning. You were getting it, and
Yeah.
Dave was like, he saw the polls, went, I'm gonna take that out, and I'm gonna replace it with Jaws 3 just to piss him off. Funny.
And he did piss me off royally.
He did. So yeah, that's something else you can do if you are a Patreon member. And Dave, thank you for the comments on Poltergeist episode. Like when we're recording this, you are one of the few people who've heard that because you heard it on early release on Patreon. Another reason to become a Patreon member. If you can't support us financially, we get it. Things are tough. I made a gag last week if it's 19p. If you do the cheaper tier, it's 6p a day, but we're just saying. You can do lots of free things to help us as well. Tell a friend about the show, share an episode on your social media, leave us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify, or comment on YouTube or Spotify as well. And with that done, let's do some facts.
You have 20 seconds to comply.
That's a teaser for next week because that was the wrong button, but hey ho.
Oh, brilliant.
I'm going to kick this off. This cost $19 million to make. Do you have any idea how much this made in its theatrical run worldwide?
Oh, man, this movie was fucking everywhere. Like, literally everywhere. I'm always terrible at this guessing budgets game. 250 million?
That's the closest you've ever been. It made $278 million off a 19.
Oh, so only 28 million out. Not very much.
That's good for you. No, that it made so much money. Like so much money. That's like Marvel money. Like I haven't adjusted it for inflation, but if I did, you're probably talking upwards of $600 million.
Yeah.
Which is insane. The original script was written with a cameo for Jamie Lee Curtis. Now, what was going to happen is Cindy was going to be hiding in her closet, and Jamie Lee Curtis was going to open the door and basically say, "Get the fuck out of my closet." And then she would get killed by the killer, which I thought was quite funny, but they never got to do that. Anna Faris nearly didn't end up in this movie. So she was working for an ad agency in London, and she was working for an ad agency. She was a week away from moving to London to work in London when she got cast in this role. So had they been a week later, she never would have had a movie career at all. She'd have gone to a job in London and started a new life in the UK, which is mental.
Yeah, that is mental. Because I can't imagine, as much as I dislike her in this role, I can't imagine anybody else doing it, to be honest.
No, I can't. Scary Movie was originally called... Scary Movie was the original working title for Scream in 1996, which is why they chose it. The opening scene in this movie, when you see the character, she's called Drew, which again is funny. But when you see her in the hallway, there is a Scream 1996 movie poster in the hallway right next to her as Ghostface breaks through the door.
Again, never picked up on that. It's worth a rewatch now.
So Shannon Elizabeth plays Buffy. So Buffy is obviously a reference to Buffy from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, who's played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, who also played Helen Shivers in I Know What You Did Last Summer. So this is like a multi-layer nod to the horror genre, all in a single character with a single name, which is beyond clever. And if you want to take it one step further, in the show, in American Pie, Shannon Elizabeth plays
Foreign
Nadia.
exchange student Nadia.
Yeah. And in that, Alison Hannigan is in there. And she, of course, is tied to Buffy by playing the witch in Buffy the Vampire Slayer for years. It's such a deep cut reference from just, we're going to cast you and call you Buffy, and then we'll let everyone else pick the bones out of it. It's fucking genius.
Yeah, man. I like Shannon Elizabeth. I think it was a right call to cast her. I don't know where she was in her career at this point. I'm assuming it was post American Pie.
Yeah.
Post Jack Frost, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think it was possibly post 13 Ghosts. Am I right?
Yes, it was, because 13 Ghosts was 99, I think. I could be wrong. Someone correct me in a voicemail.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Did you stick around for the post-credit scene with Shorty? Where they rob?
I've seen it, but I didn't stick around for it on this watch, so I've forgotten.
So he does the rules, and again, that's a direct reference to Randy in Scream 3 when it's a video of Randy giving the rules. He gives the rules, and then he robs a gas station, which is hilariously funny. I've always wondered, and I'm sure you have as well, how they got around being sued. You wondered this?
No, because we're British. Like in America, you can literally sue for anything. That's not the case here. It's not something that's ever really crossed my mind.
But in America, you can't sue for this. No matter how close they got to it, you cannot sue for it. And the reason why is the Copyright Act of 1976. If you are spoofing a movie for the means of parody or satire, you do not have to pay a penny in licensing, and you cannot be sued for copyright theft. And now I know this fact. Oh my fucking God. I am so happy.
Why? What are you planning on doing with that information?
Well, it blew my, like I get copyrighted on stuff all the time on all social media. It's like, oh no, you've used too much of this. Oh no, that's too close. I get it literally it's a daily battle for me. And now knowing that I can appeal it by going, sorry, it's meant as parody and satire, and it kills the copyright claim. And I've done some digging into it, and it genuinely kills it dead. The argument's over. They have nowhere to go.
Wow. All right, so it might be your saving grace.
100% is going to be my saving grace. We're going to play a game now. Well, we're not. We're going to do an interactive feature, which is called What Are They Screaming At? I put this picture on social media, this one right here, and simply ask, what are they screaming at? Wrong answers only. Chaz Presley went with The Dick from 28 Years Later. That's scary. It really is.
I haven't seen it yet. So.
Honestly, we're going to review it next month, but honestly, it is almost as big as mine. It's huge.
It can't be that big then, mate.
Jimmy Badger went with Diddy standing with a bottle of Diddy oil. Make me scream. Video Tasties bringing the heat again. He hates this actress. Watching Mia Goth's acting.
Oh man, what's his beef with Mia Goth? I actually really like her.
I do. If I'm honest, like every time I post something about Mia Goth, there's a timer as to how quick Gareth will reply, fucking hate her, or fucking get this off my Instagram. Like, it's almost instantaneous. It's almost like he's got her name saved. So as soon as anyone types the word Mia Goth into social media, he gets a notification. Dave B Movies went deleted scenes from the Poltergeist episode. Well, Dave, no, because we didn't delete anything in that episode, and we just threw it out and Hey, is what it is.
Hope for the best.
Lady Crisis, when gentle parenting doesn't work on your kids. Yeah, that tracks. Jim from Jim Director Emporium. This is 100% true for you and me with our conversations with Jim. They gained access to your DMs.
Nobody needs to know what's on those.
No, exactly. And finally, Heather coming with a bit of a personal dig at me, realizing you could be permanently banned for Instagram. Oh, and realizing this franchise died at part 2.
Which is also true.
Yeah.
Come on, let's spill the beans on your Instagram shenanigans because you have been a bad man.
I haven't. I got mass reported.
No, you have, right? I'm going to be honest with you. You put all this shit out on social media like, oh, I've been banned. Dude, that shit you posted on Sunday morning was like a fucking screenshot from Pornhub. And I immediately woke up and saw it and I was like, holy shit. Like that, the balls on it for posting that in the first place. Like, and then like, now you're like, oh, feel sorry for me. I'm a bad man and I'm in Instagram jail. Like, fuck you, man. You deserve your sentence. Like, that was fucking rough what you posted.
It was close to the mark. I mean, if anyone wants to see it, send me a DM on Instagram and I'll DM you the picture that led to my mass reporting of 68 odd posts and led me down a very, very dark path.
I saw it and it was one of those ones where I was like, fucking hell, if my wife was looking over my shoulder at my phone right now, she'd be like, what on earth are you looking at?
Yeah, the thing is, like, I've said this on the show before, like everything I post and everything I share and everything we talk about on the show, there's a level of vetting that goes into that, and that level of vetting is Lisa. And Lisa's normally pretty good at keeping me within the guidelines. I showed her that post, she laughed, went post it.
Right, well, she's fucking failed you massively here.
So I'm now currently looking for a new moderator for my post to ensure that I do not get fully banned.
Mate, you should have sent it to me first because I would have told you straight up, no, do not post that.
Well, technically,
like I got it. I thought it was really, really funny. Had you sent it into my DMs, I would have laughed my ass off. But you can't publicly share shit like that. It
didn't show any nudity. Everything was covered. It was just on a line.
Mate, the suggestive nature alone.
Even Instagram said it rode a line that was open to interpretation. So
there was no interpretation necessary. It was there, black and white. It was clear as fuck what you were trying to represent with that post.
Let's do a new feature that was designed to piss Mark off, but may actually make him laugh because he's in a much better mood than I thought he was going to be. Let's do...
Stop. You're not funny. No one likes you. Stop.
Oh.
It has been a long time since I've unleashed a dad joke on an episode.
Oh, no, dude, don't ruin the mood. I'm actually surprisingly happy for a change because I thought I was coming into this month really pissed off. I knew that I was going to like this movie. Next week's going to be a completely different story.
Yeah, we'll worry about that next week. But this movie has lots of jokes in it, so I thought it was time to dig deep in the joke box and pull out some jokes and tell a few. So how this is going to work is you're going to take a sip of your beer. If you spit it out, I score a point. Or if you dribble it, I score a point. If you keep it in and you swallow like a good boy, you score a point.
Swallow like a good boy. Brilliant.
Yeah.
This is why you're banned. This is the kind of behavior I'm talking about.
This is literally the reason I'm banned. Things pop in my head and I just go, oh, tell the world. Right. Well, then, take your first sip. Why is Michael Jackson bad at bowling? Well, it's because he's dead.
No, dude, it's an expensive beer. I am not fucking spitting out over that, even though I love Michael Jackson jokes.
Okay, well, that's a point for you. It's like how he knows it's bedtime. The big hand touches the little hand. Anyway. I haven't done many of these, so take your second sip and we'll give you a second sip. Right. Do you know what? America's having some really bad luck at the moment. It's almost like it was built on an ancient Indian burial ground.
No.
No? Damn it. It's 2 points for you. We got 3 more. So
All I'm doing is like literally doing shots of like high volume alcohol right now.
I know, which is perfect for the next episode. So, all right. Okay. What separates bad jokes from dad jokes? Just good pull-out game. You 100% have dribbled that by now.
It's not even the fact that you fucking delivered the punchline. It's the fact that you fluffed the opening line itself that got me.
I did, but I still get a point. It's 2-1 to you.
You have one job, man.
There's 2 left. Maybe I can pull it back. So one more step, please. Do you know, if you're having a bad day, just punch an orphan. Like, who the fuck they gonna tell? Their parents? He dribbled again. There we go. It's 2-2 into the final.
Dude, that's not nice, man. That's not nice. I'm actually crying tears. That's not nice.
It's dark humor. Like, some people will get it, some people won't. The final, it all hinges on this final joke as to who wins this game. So if you'd like to take your final second here.
Oh man, you can't make orphan jokes. That's not nice.
Do you know, when I think about it, the Human Centipede wasn't actually that bad. Most of it was just tongue in cheek. It's swallowed.
Wrong kind of dark humor for me, my friend. You should have stuck with the orphan line.
Right, I'm going to let you round this up first, and then I'm going to dive in at the end. I'll take sloppy seconds this week.
Oh man, I mean, for me, I love this movie unconditionally. I think there's a lot to appreciate here. I think there is a serious level of master craftsmanship that goes into making a movie like this, especially to get it to a level of success like the original Scary Movie did. And all of that comes down to the 2 Wayans brothers. And I keep saying the 2 Wayans brothers, as in Marlon and Sean, as if they were the co-founders of this operation. It weren't. Yeah, but it weren't. It was the 3 of them. It's not the dickhead who got the fucking Lethal Weapon TV series cancelled, which was fucking awesome. The guy from My Wife and Kids that I grew up loving, he's an absolute cock. Do you remember when that new Lethal Weapon TV series came out?
Yeah.
It was fucking awesome, man. The first season was brilliant. And then there was like loads of behind the scenes shit. And he was like, oh yeah, I'm a Wayans Brothers, man. You can't do this on my set. You can't talk to me, because he wasn't getting the reception that he wanted. Because the other guy who played Riggs was so much better than he was. And he just spat his dummy out and behaved like an absolute bellend. I don't like him. He's not involved in this, thankfully enough. It's the older one. I think he's called Keegan Wayans. He's the guy who writes this. He's also the guy who writes the Wayans Brothers TV shows and was heavily involved in Living Color. Again, awesome. He's the master behind it all. And then Sean and Marlon are the forefront characters of the movie. I imagine they had their heavy hand in writing a lot of the gags and stuff like that, but it's Keenan Wayans who actually wrote this movie. Very, very clever guy, very, very funny guy. I think this movie is... I think it's a product of a generation, and I don't want to sit here and say that it's something that's going to appeal to everybody, because I don't think it is. I think you either grew up loving this movie or you didn't. And I don't think it's one of those films that I would necessarily go out of my way to be like, oh, dude, go watch the Scary Movie films, because they're fucking awesome. because if you weren't there for them at the time that they were released, they're not going to be for you now. You're not going to go back and watch them and think, oh, that's so funny, because it's not, because it was one of those you had to be there moments. And for me, I still feel it held up on a rewatch, and I think it still probably will hold up for me in many, many years down the line when I go back. And it's probably not because the humor still holds up. I think it's more just because it takes me back to a time in my life where I remember watching this for the first time. And I remember, because it's such a pivotal movie for me, because I was just discovering horror at the time that this film came out, I hold a real sense of nostalgia and love for this film. It's perfectly executed, in my opinion. Some of the gags certainly don't hold up today, and some of them are very questionable in terms of how morally correct they are and some of the gags they use. But I think it's one of those, like I said, it's just, you either get it or you don't. And if you don't get it, that's absolutely fine. And if you do get it, you've come from a perfect generation. And I will always love this movie. I've always been dumbfounded and confused by your lack of appreciation for it. I can't dissect it like I do a normal movie and talk about acting and direction and cinematography and score and stuff like that, because I don't feel like there's enough meat on the bones in that types of stuff to do that kind of thing here. It's just a movie for a certain generation of people, and if you were there, you'll love it and you'll get it. And if you weren't there, I wouldn't recommend you go and watch it, because you won't understand half of the stuff that's in it. It's for an elite group of people. Yeah, it's for an elite group of people, and for me, it's a 4 out of 5. I think that's a fair score. I would love to sing it from the rooftops and give it a 5 out of 5. But I don't think, even when it first came out, I was never like, that is a pitch perfect movie. You know, I just appreciated it for what it was. It was a kick your shoes off, have something to eat, and just have a laugh for an hour and a half, you know, and it will always be that type of movie. 4 out of 5 is a very high score for a movie like this, in my opinion. And I think it's something that this warrants.
Yeah, it's a very. Wait till you hear me score it. It's a very high score for a movie like this. I agree with you. This film is very much a time capsule to a point of history. All of the jokes, all of the references, everything that happens is very much a time bubble of the late 90s, early 2000s. Some of it has not aged well, and I would say has arguably slipped the line of being funny into potentially being offensive in modern standards. There's lots in here that I find quite childish, and I can view this movie in two ways. I can view it in I watched it with a group of friends and I can have a good joke and a laugh about it, like we did on this episode. Like, there's so many bits in this that are fucking hilarious.
Yeah, when you dissect it and you talk about it back and forth, the gloriness of it comes to the forefront, and you can sit there and you can have a laugh and you can talk about how funny this was, how funny that was. But again, like you say, if you're watching it with the wrong group of people, like you did with your 2 teenage sons who didn't grow up in this era, you're going to have a miserable experience, because you're going to be looking over your shoulder to be like, what's up? And they're going to be stood there looking at you as if say, Dad, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think that plus our conversation has hammered home to me that this is very much a movie for, as you say, a select group of people. And there are very big sways of the audience that won't get this, which is kind of why I'm excited for a new Scary Movie, because I'll be interested to see if the jokes from the new Scary Movie land with me and with a younger audience, or if it is targeted at them and not at me, or how they work it. Like, I'm really intrigued by that.
I think it's going to fail. I'll be honest with you. I'm just going to put my 10 pence in now. I think the spoof era of movies has been and gone. Like, there's that new Naked Gun movie coming out with Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson, yeah.
And the trailers I've watched and stuff like that, I just think it's such an oversaturated market. I think Scary Movie started off the rebirth of that kind of thing, and they did such a good job. But then after them, we got like there was like ones where they were mimicking like teen movies, and there's one like there's doing superhero movies.
Yeah.
And then there's that one where they did like the 300 movie and stuff like that.
The Walking
like
Dead has been done. They done
yeah,
The Walking Dead.
and it's just like it just became so bloated and oversaturated that it kind of lost all its relevance to me. And I think as much as I want this new scary movie to succeed, which is something I've already said on this episode, I'm really struggling to find how I'm going to walk into the cinema watching it, knowing that when I really appreciated scary movie, I was very much at a adolescent, childish era in my life. But now, as an adult man, closer to my 40s than I am my 30s, I'm going to struggle to appreciate it if they don't get it right, because they're not going to be able to walk that nostalgia line for me, in my opinion.
No, and I don't think they will for me either. My opinion on this is I think they're going to stick the landing purely because everything they've touched in the past has stuck the landing at the time it was released. This movie for me, it stuck the landing in 2000 when I watched it. I watched this in the cinema with a group of friends. Like, it landed. We all laughed about this for weeks and weeks afterwards. On this rewatch, not as much. I'm going to hit it middle of the road between the two scores I would have given it then and from this most recent rewatch. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. And I think that's as close as I can get to giving it a high score because I don't think it lands now. But yeah, it's a funny movie it sounds really condescending. Like, it's a funny movie if you understand the gags and you understand the adverts they reference and you understand the products they reference and you understand all these things from the early 2000s. Like, if you get all the references, it's funny. If you don't get half the references, you're going to look at it and go, what the fuck is this? Why do people think this is good?
Again, it's just that's the problem with spoof movies, man. They're a product of their time. They're a product of their time, and they stay encapsulated in that time because all of the jokes and the references throughout that are based on relevance within that time period. It's like if you go back and watch a lot of Family Guy. I'm a big Family Guy fan. I haven't watched anything past like fucking season 7 or something like that. I think they're on like season 18 now these days. But I used to love Family Guy. Because it was relevant. And I think South Park is a very similar sort of thing. They do a lot of jokes. They did like a Kanye West thing for a long period of time, which I'm sure was really, really funny at the time when Kanye West was at the height of mockery and all the rest of it. But like the rewatchability of those kind of shows, when they fixate so heavily on a certain period of time that they're talking about and basing their gags on, like, does that hold up? Do you know? Like, does that hold up if you go back and watch season 12 of South Park now, where they went on a big tangent about George W. Bush? I think to be fair, I watched South Park the movie probably 2-3 months ago, and that is still probably one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time with the whole Saddam Hussein thing.
Carl's was a bit the South Park movie will never age.
No, I don't think the movie ever will, but the TV series itself is very relevant. It is very much. It's like the new season's coming out and they're fixating on P. Diddy, and it's like, is that going to hold up in 3 years' time? And I think the same can be said for Scary Movie. Like, if you were relevant to that time and you were very much involved in pop culture and the news and media and all the rest of it, you will get the jokes that are here. But if you weren't, it's not going to land with you. You're not going to get it. The jokes are going to fly over your head and you're just going to think it's just childish and juvenile.
Yeah, and I'd agree with that. Also, I want to talk about it when we do the Patreon episode. The Simpsons killed Marge.
I'd seen this on social media today, actually. Have they actually killed Marge? Because it looked to me like it was like a flash forward episode or something like that.
I'm not entirely sure. We'll do some digging before we talk about it. But yeah, from what I've seen, the Simpsons community is mourning the passing of Marge Simpson, which, if they followed through with that, is horrific. But anyway,
I can't see them. The Simpsons is one of those perfect shows where every episode is a rebirth. That the episode before it is completely irrelevant. So
yeah, there is that. That's it for this week. We're going to be back next week with another great movie to review. We continue our month of avoiding horror as we dive into one of my all-time favorites of all time.
God.
This sits in my top 5 movies of all time, RoboCop. But until then, check us out on social, subscribe to us on YouTube, check us out on Patreon, do all the wonderful things that make us really happy, and we will keep pumping content out that makes you happy. So yeah, that's about it. Do you want to say goodbye?
Yeah, make sure you follow us at the You Run Podcast Action Movie Podcast on all platforms.
Yeah, do that. Do you know what? I'm just going to start an action pod and fucking have done with it. Right, okay, bye!
You want to die tonight?
Late at night, I tune into your show, where you talk horror with a unique flow. Your voice is like sirens, draws me in, as you pick apart movies called murder and sin. The dad jokes you tell sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. Your passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Mark's overblown roundups. You run podcasts for a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled. But oh, you run podcasts. You run podcasts for a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too.